Wind rustles through tall Virginia pines. A wrought iron gate creaks open. Somewhere in the distance, a dog barks at nothing. The night feels heavy, like it knows a secret. Some stories don't start with a crime. They start with a love affair and end with a nightmare. March 5th, 1992. Windsor Estate, outside Richmond, Virginia. 220 acres of wealth, art, and secrets. Beverly Anne Monroe, an organic chemist, mother of 3, walks into the library with the groundskeeper. There, on a sofa, lies her lover, Roger de la Burde, a bullet through his forehead, a .38 Smith & Wesson in his right hand. The groundskeeper checks the pulse. The gun falls to the floor, or so he later tells police. The coroner says de la Burde died around 10:30 p.m. Monroe says she left at 9:30. Stopped for gas. Talked to her son at 10. Went to Safeway. Tried calling de la Burde later. No answer. A tragic suicide, she thought. A man depressed over failing health. A man drowning in his own contradictions. But the police didn't see tragedy. They saw opportunity. David M. Riley, Senior Special Agent, Virginia State Police, takes over. He ignores the ex-wife, ignores the biochemist allegedly carrying de la Burde's child, ignores the angry husband. He focuses on Monroe. 3 weeks later, she fails a polygraph. Riley decides she's guilty, not because of evidence, but because she must have repressed the memory. He tells her she was there, tells her she shot him, tells her she forgot. 8 hours of interrogation. No lawyer. No recording. At least, not one that worked. Just Riley's voice, drilling into her mind until she begins to doubt her own. By the end, Monroe, exhausted, frightened, manipulated, starts to believe his story. Starts to believe she might have done something she didn't remember. June 3rd, 1992. Riley meets her again. No recording. Just a confused, hypothetical statement he later calls a confession. Prosecutors pounce. First-degree murder. No fingerprints. No forensic evidence. A solid alibi. Didn't matter. They had Riley. And they had Zelma Smith, a so-called eyewitness who claimed Monroe once asked her for an untraceable gun. Smith, who had a history of testifying for prosecutors to dodge her own problems. The state paints Monroe as a jealous lover, a woman scorned by de la Burde's affairs, and there were many. Co-workers, a biochemist contracted to bear his child, a man obsessed with having a male heir, a man who mixed business with romance, lawsuits with art forgeries, and truth with fantasy. The jury deliberates 55 minutes. Guilty. First-degree murder. 22 years. Monroe insists she's innocent. I didn't kill Roger. I loved Roger. Her daughter Katie, civil rights attorney if he believes her, builds a team, finds experts, finds the cracks. Richard Leo, criminologist, calls it the most outrageous case I've ever seen. Says Riley crossed the line from deception to intimidation. Says Monroe was the kind of person who could be convinced she could have done it. The defense files a writ of habeas corpus, and the truth begins to surface. Prosecutors had struck a deal with Zelma Smith. They hid witnesses who saw another car leaving the estate that night. They hid the groundskeeper's statement that he dislodged the gun. They hid medical documents suggesting suicide. They hid notes from 2 women who witnessed Riley's interrogation. Notes proving Monroe was manipulated. They hid everything that didn't fit their story. March 28, 2002, Judge Richard L. Williams sets aside the conviction, calls Riley's tactics deceitful, manipulative, and inappropriate. Says the physical evidence was tainted or lost. Says Monroe never got a fair trial. April 5, 2002, Beverly Anne Monroe walks out of prison. 7 years stolen. 7 years for a crime she didn't commit. She hugs her children, plays her piano, reads her grandson a bedtime story. Prosecutors threaten a new trial, but the Fourth Circuit affirms the ruling. The case is dropped. Some people say the truth sets you free. But in the Deep South, sometimes the truth has to claw its way out of the dark. And Beverly Anne Monroe? She survived the darkness. But the scars, those stay with you.